Good afternoon, and welcome to Wilkes Wednesday webinars. I'm Margaret Steele, Chief Development Officer at Wilkes, which means I'm responsible for alumni engagement, university fundraising, and the respective stewardship of those relationships and donations. Today is the second of our webinar series. The first seminar, if you missed it, Coping with Stress, was recorded, as are all of our Wednesday webinars. It's available for viewing on the Wilkes Alumni Association webpage. We're excited to join all of you as part of the greater Wilkes community as we learn and grow together. And I'm excited to share the impact Wilkes University makes in the lives of our students and our respective communities. Wilkes has a number of programs which are a dynamic part of the greater Wilkes-Barre and Northeastern Pennsylvania region, including our Small Business Development Center, the Institute for the Environment, our after-school program Shine, our Sordoni Art Gallery, just to name a few. And particularly relevant today is our Allan P. Kirby Center for Free Enterprise and Entrepreneurship. The Kirby Center encourages and enables students and community members to launch and run businesses, to understand the nature of free enterprise through curricular and experience-based activities, to develop, implement, and support programs that enhance and embrace the entrepreneurial climate of Wilkes University and Northeastern Pennsylvania. Now, before we start, I have some good news to share. Your alumni engagement team has created a new peer-to-peer alumni-to-alumni business directory. The Wilkes Alumni Business Directory is provided as a free benefit to enhance the power of the Wilkes Alumni Network and to serve and encourage support of fellow colonels. You can join by going to the business directory site at www.community.wilkes.edu business directory. Now, let's get this webinar series started. I'd like to introduce you to Mary Simmons, our Associate Director of Alumni Relations. Mary is involved in many of our alumni engagement activities, including regional meetups, mentoring relationships between alumni and students, fundraising efforts such as our Wilkes Fund, which addresses the university's greatest needs. And right now, that includes our responses to student emergency needs that have resulted from COVID-19. Mary is always available to answer questions about Wilkes and our Alumni Association, and she will facilitate our webinar today. Mary?
Hi. As Margaret mentioned, I will be facilitating the webinar today. And just a couple of notes before we begin. All participants are in watch mode, but we still have the capability to be interactive. So please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screens if you have a question at any point for our presenters. Those will be answered as we go along. If you would like to comment to other participants, please use the chat box on the right side of your screen. In fact, we encourage it. If you'd like, drop your name and class year or maybe where you're from so everyone can see who's participating today. We will begin the webinar by asking some poll questions. So please take those polls when you see them appear on your screen. And now I'd like to start by introducing Charles Pierce. Just going to share my screen here with everyone. There we go. Charles Pierce is the Interim Executive Director of the Allan P. Kirby Center for Free Enterprise and Entrepreneurship at Wilkes. Prior to this position, he's held many positions at Wilkes in our SBDC, and most recently the Director and Interim Director. Prior to joining the Allan P. Kirby Center, he owned several small businesses. He also holds his MBA and BBA with a concentration in finance and marketing, both from Wilkes. And now you should see poll questions appearing on your screen. Once those are answered, we will share the results. And now I'd like to toss it to Chuck.
Thank you, Mary. I want to introduce today my dynamic team of Kirby Scholars. Michelle Lehman is the Interim Assistant Director of Daily Operations and current Graduate Assistant at the Allan P. Kirby Center. She is a 2018 Wilkes University graduate holding a degree in marketing with a minor in entrepreneurship and management. Michelle graduated summa cum laude, receiving the Dean's Award for Outstanding Graduate of the J.S. Sadhu School of Business and Leadership and the Most Outstanding Student in Marketing Award. In her current role, Michelle manages the Kirby Scholars Program and client marketing services. She is an expert in market analysis, market research, website design, and business planning. Ashley Abbey is a senior at Wilkes University, pursuing double majors in marketing and management with a minor in communications. As the Kirby Scholar of Business, she assists the center and its clients with business operations, strategy, and organization. In addition, Ashley is part of Wilkes University's honors program and has consistently been a Dean's List student. She is an international traveler and presenter. She plans on graduating the spring of 2020 and pursuing her MBA. Finally, Katie Hester is a junior at Wilkes University pursuing a Bachelor of Business Administration in Marketing with a minor in entrepreneurship. As the Kirby Scholar of Marketing, she collaborates with the rest of the marketing team to assist clients in a multitude of marketing services, such as web development, branding, and social media strategy. Katie is also part of the honors program, holding a spot on the Dean's List and a key member of 2 faculty research teams. I'd like to welcome you to Team MAC.
And I'm just quickly sharing our poll results before the presentation. So what is your communication level with your customers? Seem to end right in the middle with a good amount. And what is your communication level with your employees? Seem to be on 2 ends of the spectrum with none and a lot. So Team MAC.
Hello, everyone. First, I want to start by thanking Chuck for the introduction and thanking Mary and alumni for inviting us to present to you today. We would like to welcome you to our presentation of Scaredy Cat, How to Market Through Fear. We hope that we can provide you with more insight on marketing your company during COVID-19 and beyond. So Chuck gave you some individual introductions, but together we are Team MAC. We've worked together as a creative team for a little over 2 years, and in that time we formed really strong professional and personal relationships. We specifically bonded over our shared passions for shopping, caffeinated beverages, and of course, cats. So today, Ashley's going to introduce you to the topic of fear and how it can impact your employees and your customers. Katie will show you the importance of visibility, and I'll show you some examples of local and national brands that are doing it right.
Okay, in this first section, we're going to talk about the new fears and stressors during this time and how to address them. Humans typically find comfort within their routines and habits, but now activities such as going outside, grocery shopping, or even ordering takeout, which used to be within our comfort zone, are now in the fear zone. Many Americans are experiencing a change in their routine, with 60% of these changes coming from their jobs. Many companies have transitioned to remote working methods, they're reducing hours, and even announcing layoffs. Our routines and patterns are being interrupted, resulting in everyday activities leaving our comfort zone. The top 2 stressors are related to financial burden and social anxiety. Financial stress was already very prevalent in our society, and now with 22 million people filing for unemployment in the last month, the anxiety surrounding finances has skyrocketed. 77% of Americans reported feeling anxious about money due to the coronavirus. And half of Americans admitted to breaking their budget to purchase emergency goods, stocking up on toilet paper, canned food, water, soap, and face masks, while 26% of Americans said that they couldn't afford to stock up on those emergency supplies. Social anxiety is also becoming a rising issue. People are experiencing increased feelings of loneliness and isolation, while others are experiencing worries about what socializing will look like when things begin to reopen. Now more than ever, it's important to promote psychological safety within your company and to your customers and across your community. Psychological safety is about cultivating an environment of honesty and openness. Over-communicating with your employees about new processes and any information about layoffs, changes in workloads, or hours, or any information regarding the future is key at this time. Promoting psychological safety during COVID-19 to your team. You should start by practicing empathy. Get personal in a comfortable way. Consider sharing relatable struggles that you might be experiencing, or share a positive moment, like introducing your team to your pet. During this time, you should increase positivity and praise to your team. Don't sugarcoat things, but consider giving praise for simple tasks you might not usually appreciate. Make yourself available. Consider giving out your phone number or setting up an extra team meeting so that your coworkers feel connected. And try to include your team whenever possible on making big decisions. And if you can't, maybe ask for feedback. Finally, break the golden rule. Instead of treating others the way you'd like to be treated, understand that we are all experiencing different emotions at this time. Some are thriving in their new environments while others are struggling. So understand your team and who may need a little more attention or guidance during this time. Psychological safety is not just for your team. You can include your customers as well. Keep your customers up to date. Be open about any operational changes, no matter how big or small, and communicate with services you're offering and not offering. Explain your big decisions. For example, instead of saying, "We're closed at this time," you should say something like, "We've decided to temporarily close for the safety of our employees and our customers." Make sure this message appears on all of your platforms or any platform your customer would be using to look for information. And remember to stay positive.
The most essential responsibility as a marketer right now is maintaining visibility. We are going to let the cat out of the bag and in this section show you how to remain visible. The 5 ways to remain visible are to adapt appropriately, use social media, inform customers, give back, and create content. Before you do anything, you need to adapt appropriately. Do not ignore the situation, but do be positive and informative. This means updating your Google business listing, as this is where people will be looking to see changes in your hours and operations. Don't sell out of a panic, but do add value. This means don't push sales on a need basis, but do sell things like an at-home care kit if it's applicable to your business. This is something that can make your customers feel more comforted, but not sold out of need. And don't overpromise and underdeliver. Make sure your website and media outlets are up to date with and accurate to what your organization can deliver. From here on out, this section will show you how to use social media to communicate with customers. No matter if your business is temporarily closed or operating with modifications, now is the time to start or experiment with social media to remain visible. You can do this through informative messages and by creating content. If you have a more technologically savvy employee, this is a great task for them. I'm going to be running through some social media outlets and some statistics, but there's a little disclaimer at the bottom of the screen that says finding where your customers is at is key. So keep that in mind. If you know a lot of your customers use Facebook or Instagram, that's where you should be spending your time. So Facebook is about telling a story with a narrative. It's great for advertisements and showing your brand's human side. Ages 18 through 65 evenly use Facebook. And since COVID, Facebook has seen a 40% increase in usage. Instagram is about telling a story with images. It has an emphasis on aesthetic content. Ages 18 through 29 highly use Instagram, and ages 30 through 49 moderately use Instagram. Since COVID, Instagram has seen a 22% increase in overall engagement. Snapchat is about connecting casually with your friends. It's commonly used for influencer and pop culture news and blog content. Ages 18 through 24 use Snapchat the highest. And since COVID, Snapchat has seen a 36% increase of engagement specifically on advertisements. Twitter is for the quick sharing of information, conversing with customers, and it's commonly used for breaking or trending news. Ages 18 through 24 highly use Twitter, and as you can see, it does have credible information as this little image on the side is from the CDC. TikTok is a new player in the game. Some of you may be familiar, some of you may not. It consists of 1-minute videos that are informal content. They could be funny, useful, or just weird dancing. Ages 16 through 24 highly use TikTok. And since COVID, TikTok has seen a 27% increase in engagement. We're now going to show you a TikTok that Michelle made of her cat. The next way to remain visible at this time is to inform. Some questions you should be asking yourself and then informing others are, how are you operating, both internally and externally? So internally, what's your crisis management? What safety procedures are you taking to keep your employees and your products safe? And externally, what changes have been made to your business policies? Another question is, what does your organization have to say about COVID-19? What's your rally call, and what's your positive message? Of course, as always, leave politics out and only provide credible information critical to your business. And if you're not operating, what are you up to? Your customers still want to see what you're up to daily. You can do this through creating content, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Number 4 is give back. 56% of customers report being happy to hear how brands are helping during COVID-19. This can be something small. A great example is Canteen Park gave away egg sandwiches on 2 different Saturdays for just 1 hour to people in need. This is something small that gets your name out there and gives back to your community. And number 5, create content. People are spending 20% more time on apps. By creating content, you will ensure your organization remains visible. The content can be in the forms of vlogs, blogs, social media posts, podcasts, videos, animations, and webinars. Some tips when creating the content are make sure it's appropriate for your audience, such as age and interest. Make sure they are quick, cheap, and easy. Don't spend too long on any one type of content. And utilize free analytical tools. These tools are built into business pages on Instagram and Facebook, and they'll allow you to see which one of your posts gets the most engagement and will show you which experiment to put most of your time into. And lastly, have fun, be human, and be positive. People want to consume media like they normally do.
Okay, now I'm going to introduce you to the topic of copycat and the importance of visibility in local and national brands that we think are doing it right and that you could potentially replicate. So your brand's visibility is highly correlated with brand and customer loyalty. Your brand has its own personality, and you want to take this time to share it with the world. If you have an online presence, it's important to build that online presence now. We don't know what the future will look like, but it's important to adapt. Like Ashley mentioned, this is a time that is surrounded by fear and insecurity. So you want to have a presence that is understanding and also empathetic to your customers' needs. In the same vein, you want to nurture the relationships of your customers by always communicating and keeping your digital shelf full. If it's one customer or thousands, they still depend on you for the product or services that you've provided in the past. From a marketing perspective, other than visibility, the most important thing to do is communicate with your customers. In this time, customers are anxiously and actively absorbing information. As Katie mentioned, people are on socials looking, and statistics show that they're looking more and more each day. Take this time to educate your consumer, dominating an online presence and digital shelf, and offer valuable resources that fit your brand and also your industry. This presentation is an example of that. We're providing you with an educational resource. This isn't something that we usually do at the Allan P. Kirby Center, but we decided to pivot and offer this as a service since our regular services are in a different capacity. Okay, now let's look at some national brands that are doing it right. The first brand we're going to talk about is Lush Cosmetics. And according to Adobe Analytics, online sales for essential items are skyrocketing, and Lush used this to their advantage. They've been focusing on using language on Instagram that promotes their products as an escape from the stress of the pandemic. So you can see from these photos that they're using Instagram to drive sales to their website to then promote sales. Next, we have Kendra Scott. So we've talked a lot about essential and non-essential items. So what if you're selling a non-essential item? You can still make a statement. Kendra Scott, a jewelry brand, launched their Shop for Good campaign in light of COVID-19, and 50% of their proceeds from this bracelet collection will support Feeding America's COVID-19 Response Fund. So someone who may not have purchased jewelry at this time could decide to make that purchasing decision based on this Give Back campaign. Next, we have LinkedIn, which I'm sure most of us are familiar with, and LinkedIn offers a service. So if you offer a service, you can let your customers use this time to take it for a spin. So LinkedIn opened 16 of its learning courses like working remotely, time management, and productivity tips, which customers are looking for information like this at this time. So moving forward, it could be something that someone invests in the future. Now let's look at some local brands that are doing it right. These are some of our favorite local brands, and we highly recommend that you check them out. The first is Nucleus Raw Foods, and they literally got their creative juices flowing, and we hope that you can too after this presentation. So they created something called PA Punch, which is full of nutrients, and they've been promoting this on their Facebook page. So you can see that they have the product, and they're also informing their customers how, when, and where they can get that product. Next, we have Discover NEPA, and they took this time to become a hub of relevant resources. So Discover NEPA is an online platform that promotes quality of life in northeastern Pennsylvania. So they created a new web page to educate their followers and advertise other brands. So this campaign will lead to name recognition in the future. And then finally, we have Electric City Bakehouse. So capitalize on the assets that you already have at your disposal, but just in a different way. So Electric City Bakehouse already had all of the ingredients to make cupcakes, so they decided to package this into take-home kits for families that have children and are practicing social distancing. They're also partnering with other small businesses, like you can see with this mask photo, to create win-win relationships. Okay, so that's all for our presentation today. We tried to incorporate each of the 5 ways to stay visible. We adapted, we informed, gave back, created fun content, and used social media. We hope that this webinar motivates you to elevate your business and create a fearless organization. We also have a handout available. So Mary's going to send a survey, and if you'd like this handout, then you can just note that there, and we'd be happy to take any of your questions at this time.